On this episode of Hey Neighbor, we introduce you to Josh Graziadei, 23-year-old videographer, photographer, went from unsure about what his future would hold, leaving high school, to identifying what started as a hobby, but then turned into a passion and now a full-blown career. Josh shares stories about having the courage to bet on himself, leaving the area and heading down to Austin, but don't worry, he's back in the 315 quite often. At 23 years old, he really has a lifetime of experiences already, and there's much bigger things in his future. I guarantee you're going to enjoy this episode. All right. So 7 years ago, you were about 16, right? About to finish high school.
Yep.
I do a lot of work with career days, and it's probably the most challenging question there is. What do you want to do when you grow up?
Yeah.
So take me back to right around 16, about to finish high school. What were your career aspirations at that point in your life?
I mean, I feel like because mainly I would talk about it with my friends, like, what do we want to do? Where are we going to school? Why are we going to school? And I was the one that still didn't know. Most of my friends had kind of an idea, even though they changed once they got into school. But my whole thing was, I'm going to just go to MV and figure it out. And that's exactly what I did. I just went and got a general studies degree. And I was like, once I go there, I'm going to really dabble into like figuring out what it is I want to do.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because a lot of kids aren't thinking that way. They just dive in and they don't realize
exactly
how, number one, expensive it is.
Yep.
And number two, like, you need time to develop to figure out what your passion is.
Yeah.
You know,
that was my whole thing with my parents. Was we like talked about it, and it was like, why go to a 4-year and waste all this money on general courses that I could take at MV for way more than half the price, you know?
Right.
So it just made sense. And I went there and played soccer too. So that was the main reason why I went to MV.
I didn't know you were a soccer player.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I was. I started in 9th grade and was terrible, and then ended up playing in college. It was so weird. And I played like baseball and basketball my whole life. So
that's a whole nother story, which we won't get into here. But too often we give up on kids.
Yeah.
7th, 8th, 9th grade.
Yeah.
Because they're not standouts, but you also haven't developed, matured, right?
Yeah.
And so sidebar message, don't give up on kids early. You never know when they're gonna bloom. But let's talk about, you mentioned you dabbled at MV with general studies and different things. So when you got done with MV, what did that look like after that?
So I actually started doing photo and video stuff during my time at MV. It was my second semester, my first year, and I like fell in love with it instantly. So that when I started that, it like distracted me from school, which it was bad, because if I'm paying to go to school, let's just get it done and like not, stay longer than needed. But I made a poor decision and wasn't really focusing and making school a priority, was focusing more on like my business and like my passion, which isn't also a bad thing.
That's debatable.
Yeah. So I ended up just balancing it and then finishing school, and I didn't plan to like really go back anywhere else after that, because I was already so far ahead with what I was doing. So
you have an associate's degree.
Yeah, I do have my associate's degree.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, nowadays it is so common, so much more common for kids not to need a 4-year degree to be successful.
Yeah. I mean,
when we were in high school, everybody went to college and everybody got a 4-year degree. But when you have that entrepreneurial, how do you say that word?
Entrepreneurial.
I still can't say it.
Yeah, I'll say it for you. Entrepreneurial spirit.
Or trained thought. You don't need a piece of paper to be successful.
No, for sure. I feel like it's just something that it depends on what you're going to like for your career path is. Like if you're going to be a doctor, lawyer, like you need that. But if you're going to be a videographer or like a social media marketing something, like you don't necessarily need it in my eyes.
So you're done with college.
Yeah.
How did you start? Like after this business?
It was just building connections throughout when I was in school, and then just figuring it out. Like I'm a big person, like social media is so powerful to where I got most of my business just reaching out to people and going and doing stuff for free and building those relationships and knowing what it'll lead to down the road. And that's like my bread and butter of how I've become what I've become, I feel like.
All right. So you mentioned a word there that I'm writing down, free. And this is something that I think a lot of people who are starting in any business, they lose sight of is that in this instant gratification society, this microwave society that we live in, where we want everything instantly, we lose sight of the fact that you got to put in the work.
Yeah.
And so talk to me about, that's a leadership courage decision to work for free so you can build the experience. What were the challenges or obstacles that you faced when you were going through those initial, months or even years when you were doing a lot of work for free?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's really like, it's a gamble. You don't know what's going to come out of it. But if you're so driven and passionate about what it is you're doing, it's going to work no matter what. And that was my whole mindset. Even though like I knew I was working for free, I love what I do so much. I still do it to this day. Like I do this full time now, and being able to provide for myself, like also like living in a big city, like I'm good to be able to take care of myself, and I'll still, if the opportunity's right, like go and do something for free because I know what it's done for me and I know it works.
So was there a specific moment? Like when did you know that videography and photography was your passion?
I think it was when I started. I was around a new friend group and they were kind of all doing something. One of my best friends, Rich, he has a podcast, The Loft, and he did the same kind of thing you guys are doing before he moved, like just interviewing people in the area. And he really like inspired me to just do it. And when I was doing it, it was just like something I felt like this is it. Like this is something I need to do.
Awesome.
Yeah, you're smiling when you're talking about it.
I
You can
love
tell.
it.
Yeah.
It's like literally the best decision I've ever made in my life.
Awesome. What was the first paid gig?
It's so crazy. I was talking to one of my friends like a few weeks ago, and I found in my notes, I used to keep track of my stuff. And when I started in 2019, I think it was the summertime, a few months after I started, I got my first paid gig. And it was like $50. Like I shot like a music video in Syracuse for an artist. But I had like a list of all the clients I was working with, and it was like $25, $50. And it's just so crazy just to see the growth. Even though I'm not like we said, like it's not about the money. It's really, I'm just so happy to be able to do this. Like money comes and goes. So, but to see like the growth of what I was getting paid to like now, it's crazy.
Yeah, money follows passion.
Yeah,
for sure. So when you love what you do and you're good at what you do, the money just takes care of itself.
No, for sure.
So your heart, your family, and your friends are all here in the 315.
Yep.
But you had to relocate to Austin.
Yeah.
Why Austin? And how difficult was that of a decision to make?
It was tough. Especially, being here, and I pretty much had it made to where I was working with everybody from Utica to Syracuse to Albany. It was like, why just leave that? But I knew to get to where I wanted to get, I had to take that next step to branch out into a bigger city with just more opportunity. And it was a tough decision. My girlfriend, her sister lived there for 10 years, and we've always talked about moving just to try it. So we visited and we loved it, and we're just like, let's just do it. It was tough though. Like, especially seeing like my mom, like my dad, they were so upset to just watch me leave because I was like the first of their kids to leave. So it was like, I never went away for college. My sister didn't go away for college, so they never had to deal with that before. And then I moved halfway like across the country. So.
Scott dragged me out of Frankfurt for sure. Like we had a deal like in college that
we've had a few deals.
This was a big deal that like he waited for me in Rochester because I'm 2 years younger.
Okay.
And he said, you've got to promise me when you graduate, we're not going back to Frankfurt. We're moving someplace else.
Yeah.
And so, and then that's what brought us to Virginia. But it was really, really hard leaving everything.
Oh, it's tough.
That makes you comfortable.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The first year, I'm going to be honest, like it was the lowest point of my life in terms of like career business. Like I had nothing. I knew nobody. I luckily was getting booked like every month or so, but it was tough. It was really hard, like to get out of.
Let's talk about that because that is, what a couple things there. You said you were lucky enough to get booked.
Yeah.
I don't believe in luck. Something happened there. People weren't just randomly.
No, yeah.
I mean, so how did you go about that networking and getting yourself out there in a new city and a very crowded city?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I did the same thing before I even moved. I was DMing people, already reaching out to people like, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. I'm moving in the fall. I would love to just grab lunch and let's connect. If you have any shoots you need people to shoot at, I'll come for free, do whatever. Like I wasn't even looking for money. I was like, I have to start over to get to where I want to get. But when I was there, I was just mainly working when I got booked with just clients I was already working with. It was really nobody new in Austin. And then I got like my first gig in Austin when I signed up for South by Southwest as like a photographer. But that was also an intern gig. I wasn't getting paid, but I met so many people, which then led me to start getting more work in Austin. But yeah.
So is this business? I'm totally ignorant here, so bear with me. You know, it's kind of a media thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so to get, when you say it's signed up for South by Southwest, like, do you need a media credential? Do you like, how do you go about that?
So especially with a lot of the stuff I shoot, like concerts, festivals, professional sports games, and like conferences like that, you need a credential. So unless there's an opportunity for you to sign up through the company or the organizations that's putting whatever it is on, you sign up, you get a credential. But if you don't get a credential or know somebody that could get you a credential, the odds of you shooting it are slim because you need one to get in.
Yeah. So it's got to be difficult.
Yeah, it's very difficult. It's not easy. Yeah, it's not easy at all. It's really just about who you know. And if your work, is something that they need, then that's when you get that opportunity.
So tell us about some of the clients or the events that you've done.
So many. A lot of music stuff I've worked with, big festivals like Rolling Loud's like a big hip hop festival in the United States. I've done South by Southwest, one of like the biggest music conferences like in the world. I've done, jobs with Netflix, Revolt TV, which was Diddy's old company, not anymore.
Yeah.
Touchy subject. I've had the opportunity to work with the NBA. I've worked Spurs games. I do a lot of Spurs events. If they do like watch parties, and I work contract with like their G League team, the Austin Spurs. I've worked AAU organizations like basketball, 7-on-7 football leagues, a bunch of weddings, like really everything. Like
That's awesome.
anything you could think about, I've definitely done.
You were at the Bills Dolphins game with us,
Oh,
right?
yeah, I was at the Bills Dolphins game.
I remember that.
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
mother sent me a message. Yeah, she messaged me.
Who won that game?
Shut up. Why do you have to bring up that?
You brought it up.
Well, he was present and so were we.
That was a great game. That was my first ever NFL game too.
Is
So
that
like,
right?
yeah, to be there like on the field, that was like an unreal experience.
So again, how does that work? Like, so you have to get a hold of the NFL, or you get a hold of the Buffalo Bills?
So it was such a strange, like random thing. So I was out there working. I do contract work with Jay with this company, our friend Solutions Empire. He sells like vacuums. And we were out there on a trip. And when I was there, I worked with the artist Trina before. I don't know if you're familiar. She's a hip hop artist based out of Miami. She's older. And I'm good friends with her makeup artist. That's how I got connected with her. So I saw she posted she was at the Dolphins stadium, and I was like, what are you guys doing? And she's like, we're doing sound check. We have the halftime performance at the game Sunday. And I was like, well, is there an opportunity that I could come and shoot? Like I have all my stuff and I'm out here. I was leaving Sunday, but I was open to extending my flight. Like if the opportunity was there. And she's like, yeah, let me see. And then she got back to me that day and she's like, yeah, you could come. So I extended my flight and I was like, I have to stay. Like,
so now something like that, you're just working independently.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're not like specifically on a project. You're just getting as much.
Do whatever I really can. Yeah.
And
to build your portfolio,
exactly.
right?
Yeah. So I got like obviously a credential from the Dolphins. I actually had a game credential to technically let me go down to the field and shoot. But sometimes when like the opportunity is like I'm not really supposed to be doing that, I won't, just because I don't want to step on anybody's toes or potentially ruin a relationship that I make there. But still, like I was able to still shoot on the field for the halftime performance. So it was really cool. And we were up in like a suite the whole time. So that was really cool experience for sure.
That's great.
Yeah.
I don't want to call it pirating, but I'm going to call it pirating. Right. But this is a thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so let's say you are on the field, any of your work, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you take the shot, you want to share it, you want it to be part of your portfolio. You're big on social, and in the click of two buttons, I can take it, right, and then share it somewhere else.
Yeah,
it's probably not legal, I don't know, but how big of a concern is that for the industry?
So, in terms of like me being a contract worker for these companies, I typically sign contracts to where I give up the rights for my stuff just because that's how they operate sometimes, not all the time. And, it's really, there'll be times where I'll sign a contract and they say I can't post until they post, or if they never post, I can't post at all. But like I said, if you have a good relationship, they'll be like, yeah, you could post or whatever. But there's stuff that I'll never be able to post just because of the contract I had to sign. And then the artist or whoever I was working with never put it out. And that happens so often. And that's with creatives. Like we get so excited. Like I did like a 2-show tour in New York City at like Madison Square Garden. And it was like some of the best stuff I've ever done. And it'll never come out because the person I was working with never put it out. And that happens so often. And that's what sucks with sometimes in this field is like, you'll do all this work and the world will never be able to see it.
So I feel like you're gonna have a really cool like man cave at
Yeah.
some point.
Oh,
with
yeah.
just unknown, unseen photos
absolutely.
of work all over the place.
And back to the question you really asked, when I post stuff, I've had like, especially with music, like blogs and stuff will always reuse like content from creators that take photos of artists or whatever it is. And some people work it to where you're not allowed to use their work. Like if a blog puts up their work, like they could like you could sue. Like there's like a thing for that. But I don't care. As I just tell the people, like if I see my work, just tag me because I get followers or people reach out to me from it. So it's just free publicity at the end of the day. You know, you have pages that have 100,000 followers posting my stuff. Like who wouldn't want that?
Right.
But everybody's different. So, but I'll take whatever I can get.
So everything that you've just said, like you must travel a ton.
Oh yeah.
Like you're living out of a suitcase.
Yeah.
Like it was too funny. Your mother's like, I don't know how he lives like that.
Yeah.
So for certain people that, you know, they have the 9 to 5, talk about your like average like week and what it looks like and places you've gone to. Like,
yeah. So the biggest thing when I started this was, and it was really something I had to like be on myself about, is like, if I'm going to do this, I need to be working like how everybody else has a 9 to 5 work. And that's tough, especially when you're in the comfort of your own home, you're doing what you love. It's like, you know, you got to wake up every day and still put in the same amount of hours that people that are at work doing, because there's no way you're going to progress. So doing that, you know, typically every week. And then a lot of my stuff is either planned to where I'm traveling once a month, but sometimes I've traveled 2, 3 times a month because it's just last minute. Someone will reach out to me and be like, hey, can you come to LA tomorrow? Hey, can you come to Miami tomorrow? And then I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to go because like it's an opportunity. And if I'm able to do it, just do it. It's tough. Not mainly so for me because I'm so used to it. In the beginning, it was hard because you get burnt out and you get tired. But it's tough for my girlfriend because like we'll have like something planned. I'll be like, I got to go, Jillian. And she'll be like, she's used to it now. But yeah, I'm always texting my mom like, hey, I'm going to be in Florida tomorrow or I'm going to be in California tomorrow. And she's like, oh, okay. Just text me when you get there.
If I got to help a buddy in Herkimer, like Josh is just going to South Beach on a whim.
Yeah.
Maybe I used to. Just go. Just it's okay. I'm okay with it now.
Yeah.
The kids are older now.
Yeah. But I've luckily been able to travel. I mean, I did a tour. We did 26 shows all across the country. I was on a tour bus. I've definitely been everywhere.
Oh my God, that has to be so
There's
cool.
some states I've never been to. I don't know if I'd want to go to, but I definitely hit all like, you know, the check boxes of places I wanted to go.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
So who's your target market? What type of client is ideal for you? I know you've mentioned a few times you'll chase opportunities and obviously you're just building this, but it's also, let's not lose sight of the fact that you're 23.
Yeah.
You started this when you were around 19.
Yep.
And you've just told like a lifetime worth of stories and things. And it's only been a few years.
Yeah.
So ideally, as you carve out your niche and start to find your rhythm in this, like who do you want to work with? What type of client?
I think where my direction is now, I know me and Jay, we're working a lot together and our mindset of where we want to go, and especially getting older and, you know, us wanting to have a family one day, wanting to have a house and just finding that stability and knowing like, you know, working with companies like on a retainer, working with organizations that have events all year round, or working with, I wouldn't say a sports team because the pay in sports is really not good at all, but working with like AAU organizations to where I shoot 10 tournaments a year, like just having that stability, knowing every month I have something. Exactly. It makes me more comfortable not knowing I have to worry about where my next gig's coming from. And then, you know, I have those jobs. I know what I'm getting paid. I know what I'm making. If something comes up that I could do off the whim, it makes me more inclined to do it because I know I'm stable in my life. I don't got to worry about, oh, I don't know if I could do this because I don't have the money or I can't come out of pocket to just book myself a flight if they're not going to pay for my travel.
Right.
So how do you see your career evolving? Like what's next for you?
I never really dwell and sit and think too much about it. It's just keep doing what I'm doing and whatever happens, happens. I really, obviously one day, like the goal is to have a team. I would love to have a team of people that, you know, I could manage and, you know, send out on shoots that I necessarily can't do, especially here, because I'm always coming home because I have so much work. So just finding trusted individuals that I could just send out, hey, you go take care of this. And even having the client comfortable with that too, because it's not always, you know, about
need an apprentice.
Yeah, like it's tough, but that's definitely one goal of mine is to have like a team around me.
So is that a production company?
Yeah, it could. Yeah, you could just say it could be a production company for sure.
Cool. All right. So what's been the biggest struggle? You mentioned, pre-notes that you want to kind of talk about the downtimes and the struggles.
I think we, especially on stuff like this, we talk about all the success and like all what we do, but people don't really hear about the struggle, especially, I mean, you hear it from like these big entrepreneurs, but not someone at like my level or what you guys are doing level, but it's really just people, I'm in an industry and we're even this, like whatever you do in life, people are going to take advantage. So never stop track of like your goal, regardless of what someone does to you. Like I've had people, take advantage of me, use my services to their advantage, and it hurts you, because it's like, you're doing something good for somebody. Why treat someone that way? Yeah. So just, not beating yourself up so much about especially what people think. Cause like I've posted stuff and I've got to a point, I don't care how many likes, comments I get. Like I'm doing this because I love it. Don't do it for somebody else. Do it for you.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
That's great advice.
And like even being a business owner, you have months where, I've had months where I've made nothing. I've got no work. And like I said, it's just maintaining, like keep going. Like my whole experience, my first year at Austin, from stories I've heard, have been like people's breaking points of just quitting, going to get a 9 to 5 and just not doing what they love anymore. I can't do that. And like I tell everybody, like just don't give up on what your path is and what your goal is, because it's gonna come. As long as work hard. And I tell people 2 things, like you work hard, and then like my number 1 thing is like be a good person. Like everything you're gonna want in life is gonna happen.
It's got to be so hard because social is such a big part of your business.
Yeah,
but at the same time, you have to block those comments and the negative, like.
No, absolutely. Or even like, I get in these modes where I don't have work and I find myself like diving down this rabbit hole of comparing myself to other people. And you cannot do that because it is terrible. Like I'm so bad at it. And even to this day, like I'm just like, well, why does this person have this opportunity? Why don't I have it? And it's just, you don't want to do that.
Everybody has those moments. I think if you're human, you have those moments. Absolutely. And it's the strong people that pull themselves back and say, I'm myself. I'm not this other person. What am I going to do to make my situation better?
For sure.
It starts with awareness. I think it was Eleanor Roosevelt who said comparison is the thief of joy. And in this world of digital dominance and social media, it's so easy for all of us to fall into that trap. And the other thing you hit on without saying it is really creating this abundance mindset that just because someone got something that you wanted, doesn't mean that you can't have more.
Also have it,
Exactly.
And so we fall naturally into scarcity, which is there's only so much to go around, and if I don't get it, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to do, but you've got to have that abundance mindset that there's a ton of work and opportunities out there, and
so much.
The no money thing, that's real, right? So I mean,
that's a struggle.
Yeah, no, it is.
We've been there.
Yeah. and sometimes you just have to, and I know it's a lot of hours and a lot of work, but no one said this thing was going to be easy. The entrepreneurial journey. So maybe someone has to do this as a side hustle, whatever their passion is.
Yeah,
where they are doing that 9 to 5, and then they're doing whatever they can. Yeah. You mentioned the DMs and the networking, and whatever they can do after hours or weekends until the side hustle takes over.
Absolutely, that's like with the money thing. Like Austin, my first year, like I was telling my girlfriend, like, I don't know if we're going to make it to like Christmas. Like we're going to have to come home. And there's nothing wrong with that. If it doesn't work out, don't think it's like the end of the world. You come back home and do what you got to do. But yeah, it's scary, but you get through it.
All right, Josh, we end all these with our rapid fire 5 questions for your boy Spina. I try to make these more rapid fire than I normally do. I got a lot of hate on the last episode for going a little too deep into these. So what's your most memorable moment or project?
Most memorable would have to be the NBA. When I shot the Spurs Nuggets game, that was such a dream of mine, just to shoot an NBA game. So that's definitely my number 1 for sure.
And they've got that beast that I don't follow the
Wemby.
NBA. Yeah. I saw on
unreal seeing him in person.
Picture of him.
Yeah. When you are up close, you don't really realize how big they are until like you're in the same space as they are.
Sitting courtside. Yeah, it's like unreal.
Yeah. What new technique or skill do you want to learn or improve?
I think I want to dabble more into the animation side. We see a lot of stuff now, like especially in movies. Like I don't know the exact term for it, but just like fake glass breaking or just like that stuff. Like that looks so real. It's something I really want to get into.
Nice. If you could work with one household named star, so big star, who would it be?
LeBron James.
Cool.
Get him while you can.
Yeah.
Get him
What food or dish have you discovered in Austin that you can't get in the 315?
Oh my gosh, someone needs to open an amazing barbecue spot here. Barbecue in Austin is like next level.
Yeah.
And I even Mexican food, like we have a lot of great Mexican food, but like barbecue, my first time trying it was like life-changing.
Why should someone hire you for their next photo shoot or video shoot?
It's not just a job, you know, it's an experience. Whenever I shoot with people, I want to make them leave and remember something about our time, whatever the hour or two we work together, or if it's a wedding, I'm with them all day. It's an experience that I want them to remember, not only with just working with me, but the product that they get after.
How do people connect with you?
Just through Instagram. They could DM me, Facebook, whatever, email, however they want to reach out to me. My Instagram's at josh.graz. Facebook is Josh Graziadei. And then, yeah, just reach out.
Well, Josh, it's been a pleasure, man. And,
no,
you know,
I'm so happy to do this.
It truly is inspirational. As the old man in the room, I do defend our younger generation with passion, because I can't hear this whole, kids nowadays, you know, paint with the wide brush. And I'm like,
talk about it all the time.
Yeah, there's so many amazing kids coming up, and you're certainly one of them. And it's really cool to see your development, your maturation.
Well, thank you.
You know, the stories again that you've and experiences you've had in 4 years are greater than we interview people in their 40s and 50s, and they haven't done half the stuff you've done.
No,
you know, before
this
25.
generation just they view life through a different lens. It's all about the experience. They are truly not working. What's that saying? Living to work. They're working to live.
Yeah.
You know, and it's all about doing what you love.
Absolutely.
It's refreshing, and you embody that. So
I'm super grateful.
Appreciate you sharing.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Thank you for tuning in to another Love Living Local episode. Before you head out to support all things Central New York, we just have one ask of you. Please help us share the love we have for our community by sharing this podcast with a neighbor of yours. We truly appreciate you. In fact, you are one of the many reasons we love living local.